Over the last decade, household debt has climbed to nearly $19 trillion, with more than 70% in mortgages. It sounds like a lot, but on the flip side, there are also millions of Americans who have been locked out of borrowing, something that, for decades, has required a FICO score.
This is arguably one of the most important numbers to all of our financial lives.
Want a car? You need FICO. Want a house? FICO. A business loan? FICO. But now, FICO finally has some competition from a company that markets a more inclusive way of measuring credit. VantageScore promises to open the door to people who have been shut out from credit cards and mortgages.
Well, there's this inherent catch-22, right? Because in order to get ahead in life, you often need access to credit. But to get access to credit, you need a credit history. To get a credit history, you need credit in the first place.
So here's how FICO scores actually work. Lenders report data about your borrowing activity and history to the three major credit bureaus, which turn that data into a credit report. The bureaus license FICO's formula and apply it to this report to create a score, which is purchased by, you guessed it, the same lenders.
You need to show that you've historically been a reliable borrower, but that's a problem if you don't have that debt in the first place because you can't really show that you have that reliable track record. There's estimates that there's tens of millions of people who have fallen through the cracks when it comes to FICO. They're what's known as credit invisible. This is an especially significant problem for younger Americans who may not have built up that credit history yet. It's also often a problem for people of color and for immigrants who are sort of new to the financial system.
These are the kinds of consumers that VantageScore says they can help.
VantageScore was launched in 2006 through the credit bureaus. They were worried about FICO having a lot of power and not having a competitor.
In 2025, VantageScore 4.0 was approved for use on all Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac mortgages, and its usage has soared even beyond the mortgage market, with record-breaking numbers in asset-backed securities.
You can have some people who may not be eligible for a credit score from FICO, but they are eligible for a credit score from VantageScore, and that can actually give them the opportunity to borrow, right? To get a mortgage or a car loan that they otherwise might not be eligible for.
VantageScore considers a lot of the same credit data as FICO, but for payment history, they analyze rent and utility bills, not just loans and credit cards. The most recent version of FICO also does this, but most lenders use older versions that do not. You can see here that your debt has less weight with VantageScore, and both see value in your credit history length. But FICO usually requires at least 6 months of history to create a score, whereas VantageScore needs only 1. The result? VantageScore claims it's been able to generate scores for 33 million of the nearly 50 million Americans who haven't been able to get one with FICO. That's 33 million more people who can open lines of credit. Now, all top 10 banks use VantageScore in one or more lines of business.
For the first time, there's actually a potential credible competitive threat to FICO, and lenders are able to choose, well, whose credit score is maybe better at predicting risk, or whose credit score can I get for a lower cost. So just by having two market participants, you have some pressure to increase the quality of their product and drive down the cost.
Well, it's a potential game changer, especially when you think about the American dream of buying a home, which is significant because really in the United States, buying a home is the ticket to wealth generation. When you're renting, you're often not building that wealth and you're just putting that money towards rent. And so the more people who have the potential to buy a home, the more people who have the potential to build that wealth over time.